I would like to thank you all for joining us on the call. Last call was very successful, and it was only successful because everybody shared. And whether you have a success to share or a frustration to share, that's okay too. Because sometimes we can talk through what you're doing, and somebody else can say, "Oh yeah, I used to have that problem. This is what I did." So don't feel bad about doing that at all. Would like to say that this call is being recorded and that Pam will be taking notes, and we'll send out the recording and the notes, and then Jean is going to monitor the chat for us. I'm reading the chat as we go along, and that's not good for me because I get distracted. So, and if you don't feel good or you don't have time to speak up, please put it in the chat because then Jean will reach it out. Sometimes that works better because then we don't all try talking over each other. So we do have a nice crowd of people. Oh, we're up to 27 people now. That's great. Thank you so much for being on the call. We'll go over some stuff, and then if you guys have questions or comments or concerns, some people have shared some things, and we'll go over some of that. And some people don't have cameras working, so there we go. So last time we talked about this, so we're doing these calls because we asked for temperatures at the end of year audit that we did, and there were people that were struggling. I would say the two biggest struggles were your temperatures at the end of the routes, the home delivered meal routes, and also cold temps not getting. And everybody kind of started digging a little bit more and learning new things and finding new ways to educate or things that needed to be done or some new tools to make things go better. And I will certainly, not everybody is 100%. So we are still working on that. So we will help you any way we can with these. Okay. And can I just ask to, if you're not the one talking, please mute yourself. Because always somebody doesn't remember to do that, and I have to talk to somebody. There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna start with a few struggles that I have received emails about, and if you guys like, if that rings a bell with you, please speak up, and we can talk about what to do about them. One of the first ones is somebody emailed that drivers did not know how to take temperatures. Now, you would think that, of course, you do that during orientation, but sometimes they forget or they didn't really how to do it right. Does anybody else struggle with maybe their drivers really don't know how to take those temperatures? You can put it in the chat too if you want. You don't have to answer. So some re-education would be good there. We have a PowerPoint that Pam voiced over. You can just have them watch it. So yes, we do have that problem. So yeah, and that, you know what, that's pretty common. And, you know, I just was at a food safety conference and they talked about how even though you do something during the orientation, it's nice to go over that at least once a year. So when you're talking about, you know, your education for the year, maybe you want to build that into at least once a year. And Pam, like I said, it's got that nice PowerPoint that you can have them watch. So thank you, Heather. And you are not the only one. A lot of people have problems with that. Jean, do you have anything else to add to drivers taking temps?
I don't. I just think that we've always talked about, you know, like the most important piece of trying to figure out, you know, where the temperature loss might be happening is to, you know, you yourself go out and do a route or, you know, observe the process of the food when it comes in, when it's being packaged, and just kind of have the eyes on. So I just want to reiterate that. I know we've talked about that before, but I think that's a really good place to start.
Okay.
And in the chat, Pam, can you let me know how to get the PowerPoints? I would love to see it.
Oh.
It should be on the website. If I know that we talked about putting it up on Friday, but I believe it was getting added. So otherwise, we can put it in the chat too.
And I will say that I know if anybody has watched that with their staff, if you could let us know what they thought of it. Okay, let us know that. So yeah, it's very helpful to go over that with them and maybe even see them, observe them doing it. Like Jean said, you know, that hands-on, get out there, see what they're doing. That might help too. Another thing that I got an email about is managers were taking the temps back at the kitchen instead of the drivers doing it while they were out on the route. So again, if when they're done with their route, if they're trained correctly, and I know that some aren't comfortable doing it, but really if you can get your drivers to do it correctly, that would help a lot, because then sometimes by the time you get back to the kitchen, you can lose more temperature again. So it's nice to get it. I always tried to train the drivers to do it as soon as they could. So you're at the end of your route, that's it. Let's see what the temperature is, not back at the kitchen. Okay. Did anybody else find that happening with theirs?
Lori, I'm interested to know too, did anybody on the call, when they were, looking at the reasons why this might be happening, did anybody figure out that it might be education of the staff or the volunteers with the actual taking of the temperatures? Was there anybody who, maybe found that was the problem, that the thermometers weren't calibrated, or that, they didn't know how to take the temperatures correctly? I'm just kind of interested in that.
I found that they were having issues with calibration. So that's why we did like a re-education of the calibration.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and somebody else asked about using an infrared thermometer on food, and just thinking maybe that would be easier for the drivers to do. And definitely, yes, it would be easier, but it would not be the proper temperature. So we cannot use the infrared on our hot food, because what you're getting is your surface temp there. You're not getting the internal temp. If you think about, if you're cooking a piece of chicken, it might look nice and brown on the outside, but the inside could still not be fully cooked. So you have to get that internal temperature. So that's why you need to use not an infrared. So you can't use one of those when you're in the food. The last call, if you guys were on there, we had some good suggestions with the drivers. Kim had talked about, sending along a packet with them, which I thought was really a good idea, so they could eat their meal as soon as they were done if they wanted to. That was really cool. And again, that reminder that you want to do it as soon as they're done with their route instead of waiting. Again, if you think about it, if they're done and they're driving back to the kitchen and then they put it into the kitchen and now they're waiting for the manager to get their stuff together. The other thing was, just make sure they're ready. They have everything that they need. Okay, Jean, I see he's got their hand up.
Christy.
Hi. Yeah, from the last one, we have made some changes. They have put the milk into the freezer for about 20 minutes before packing the cold, and that seems to have done some things. Our milk left at 40, came back at 41, so we felt pleased with that. So it actually maintained a good degree. The other thing is, on our hot packs, we are using the soft-sided coolers from, it's not from the Meals on Wheels store, Sterno. I thank you for my own brain, Sterno. And we have found that we are using multiple of the heat plates, but we are putting one on the bottom, and then we're putting 4 meals on. We're putting another one on. We're putting 4 meals on and another one on. And we've gotten some good results on our longer routes. When it left at 167, came back. I'm sorry, leaving at like 200, coming back a couple of routes, 167, 151, leaving at 190, coming back at 148. So again, some real progress on that. So instead of just putting, on the side, we're kind of trying to stack it in between. I don't know if anyone else has had success with that.
Hey, Christy, this is Pam. Do you think next time you all pack meals, you could take a couple photos and send to us and we could add those to the notes, or a short little video would be lovely?
I will do my best and get you a nice little video and or photo.
Thank you. I mean, pictures help so much. And then we could put those in, some training. Anybody who's packaging things differently, that would be really helpful.
Right.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much, Christy. Yeah. Thank you so much for mentioning that, Christy, because that does help everybody else to know that there's a different way to pack them that might help. A lot of people are struggling, and certainly not everybody can buy new equipment. That's a way of having that turn out better. That's fantastic. I'm very happy.
Thanks, Lori. I'll let you know when I do the final analysis. That was some verbal confirmation that I got today, but when I see it
Cool.
in person, I'll also make some further analysis and get you some data.
And then also Barb has something in the chat. We've just received a large supply of hot plates from Sterno. They are coming completely apart at the seams. Ooh, anyone else have this issue? That is not good. Barb, have you contacted the company where you got them from?
Yes, this just started last Thursday, and I mean they're completely coming apart. The entire side seam is come open. We contacted Sterno. They never heard of it. They never had that happen before. We're following the instructions. And then, so this was in Anago, and then our site manager in Tomahawk just called me today. The same thing is happening with hers. We got all of these at the same time. So,
well, looks like Sherry over in Calumet said our Oven Tech hot plates have come apart at the seams in the last batch we purchased. Interesting.
Christy, right? So Christy, you got yours from Sterno also or not?
Yes, we did get ours from Sterno. We did purchase last year. We just hadn't implemented that phase yet. So I'd have to go back in my file and see. I have not heard, I saw them today, but I guess I didn't see, and no one has complained to me. We've only been using them a month. So I'll double check again tomorrow and Thursday when I'm in. Thursday's when we're going to use them again and double check. But we purchased last, I want to say last like August or September. So again, if it's an issue on quality control, we might be in a different lot that was manufactured if they just recently purchased.
Could you share with us though, do you know how they heat them up? Do they put them in the oven?
Oh, yep, I'm sorry. Yep, they do heat them in the oven. I know that it's 20 minutes is the maximum amount of time that they can be in the oven. Beyond 20 minutes, it kind of, that's not the recommended part for reheating. So we've been really good about making sure we stay to the 20 minutes and they kind of batch them. And a single layer at a time. So, 3 on one shelf in the oven, 3 on another shelf. And then we kind of just keep staggering out throughout that time frame as we're packing so that they're, 20 minutes in and going into the thing, and then the food's going in after that.
Do you put them right on the rack or on a sheet? They
were putting them on a sheet, but I did not see it packed today, so I will have to verify.
Okay.
Are you guys putting them on directly on?
We aren't. No, we were using like cookie sheets.
Heather from Oneida County says that Oneida County uses gel packs that we are able to microwave.
This is Val from Washera County. I saw that Sherry had mentioned something about the Oven Tech hot plates. I'm wondering, are those the ones from Oliver? Because we have the ones from Oliver, and they are also starting to come apart. We had purchased those, I want to say, in the fall or late summer as well, and we are also experiencing those falling apart. We had one of our staff members said she was willing to try to sew them at home. So she found some heavy duty, some sort of thread or something, but it's obviously not ideal. But we are following the directions as the Oliver directions say, and I think it was similar to that 20 minutes, and I don't know the exact details, but I know it's written. We have it posted in our kitchen, so I know they're following that.
Val, yes, they are from Oliver. Christy, go ahead.
Ours are not from Oliver. Ours are from Sterno, the hot plate that we purchased. And again, my awareness is they have not shown any wear or tear at this point, but if I'm wrong, I will respond to Lori and let her share that.
And Heather from Oneida County states they hold the heat wonderfully and we are able to use them, in the freezer for our cold bags as well. So multi-purpose.
Are those microcore by chance, Heather? And, even though they came from different companies, those other bags or the other heating things, sometimes they outsource them. So they could be coming, from an original manufacturer. It'll be interesting. It's just find out what the heck is going on with this batch.
Yeah, it looks like they purchased them from Amazon, but she's not sure if they're microcore, but she's going to look into. And then Barb states that microcore tends to leak and ruin the meals. Interesting.
Oh. That is interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thank you.
Dawn, do you guys use microcores in Winnebago? Do you still use those on top at all? Trying to think with some of the bags that, because you don't have enough room for all your meals. I would just say that
Am I still on mute?
we did use the microcores at Winnebago. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, we do use them, and sometimes they do sweat and ruin the tray.
Kim Losi states that when a microcore gets old or starts to leak, put in a large Ziploc bag and use only for freezer and cold packing.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. And Missy states that we also use gel packs for both hot and cold. We also place an electric heat plate on the bottom of our hot bags. Interesting. Good tip. Thank you, Missy. Okay. Kathy Walther states should we put them in the plastic or put cardboard in between? Thanks, Kathy.
This is Christy. I can say that one of the other thing on that hot plate, putting, a hot plate, 4 meals on, hot plate, 4 meals on. They did also say that sometimes when you have 16 meals in a cooler or in the hot pack, and if you just had it on the bottom and on the sides, the weight of that would make sometimes some of those bottom meals kind of, again, we're using a tin, not the Oliver, make them a little bit, some of the moisture pop out of that weight. So by putting those plates in between, it's also helped with not making things, leak out, if that's the right term. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. Taylor states, is cardboard okay to use? I just had a driver inform me that he uses cardboard to contain heat. Is this okay?
Heidi, you use the you know, the insulation stuff, and it's like 2 or 3 layers and you kind of wrap it around, and then I think it's duct tape on it, but it feels like that can be wiped off and cleaned and sanitized. And so feel free to jump in here, Heidi. But cardboard, that's what I'm wondering. You couldn't clean or sanitize it if it leaked, but I suppose you could just use it once.
So we've used cardboard in the past. Right now we've gone to actually sheet metal that has worked much better preventing the scorching. We get on the bottom trays from the stones, and it seems to provide just all around better heat. We had it made at a heating and cooling place. So we use the regular coolers, like what you'd take to the beach, with the wooden tray. So we don't use the cardboard that comes with the heat stones. We actually had wooden trays made. We put the stones in those, and then we have the sheet metal that goes over the top. And that we have found to be the best. When we've used cardboard in the past, we have covered it with plastic and duct tape so we can clean it. And that's worked as a good insulating tool. We've also used on occasion, we have purchased them from, I'm trying to think, it is the Oliver Company, but it's like a thin pad that you can clean, and it seems like a heat stone in it, and you can put that in the oven and heat it up. And we've used those too on occasion for different things. And our temperatures have been, as far as when we take them, have been good.
Thank you. Kim Losi, we have so many microcores to microwave, we put them in an HDM bag so they keep themselves hot longer till we are ready to pack the route. That's a good tip. Kathy Walters, we use it once when we have soups to keep them from tipping. And then Taylor says sheet metal is interesting. Lots of good conversation.
Yeah, thank you guys for clarifying, because yeah, those heat stones definitely come with a cardboard insert, you know, because they would melt through the bottom of the bags. So yeah, the sheet, what Heidi made, the wooden sheet, or whoever made them, I can't remember, Heidi. I feel like it was one of the spouses or somebody who made the wooden trays. But I know that the site managers are excited to, Heidi's site managers will share the dimensions if anybody wants those.
Yeah, if anybody wants the information on the sheet metal, we just went to a local heating place where you order a furnace and gave them the dimensions and showed them what we wanted, and they made them in like an afternoon. And we have enough so we have a set of coolers for one day, and then we keep it at the site, and our caterer brings a new set the next day. Because our caterer does all of our packaging for us. We don't package anything. Oh, soup, we package soup, but nothing else.
Thanks, Heidi. Callie has a question. Anyone having issues with the cords for the large hot holding Cambros, the orange color ones? The cords plug into the cigarette lighter in the vehicle. This year we have issues with those cords. Several have broke, and the price for them has significantly increased with the pandemic. Any suggestions for this?
We have had issues where some of them have, like, I don't want to say frayed, but all of a sudden they're not working right. And the drivers have taken them home and tried fixing them. But yeah, we've had to order them because there's not much you can do with them.
Thank you.
I know there was another county too that used them, and it was a matter of educating the staff so they didn't just yank them out, you know, like I do out of the outlet of my house for like a plug. So some of that was training.
Yes, I think that would be a good idea, some additional training, because they are expensive, and you're right. If you just yank it, a little bit more care might help.
Are they warranted at all? Does anybody know? I would think there'd be some type of warranty on all this stuff. Maybe check your original invoices and see what I mean, especially with the stuff fraying, like that's that's very strange that, you know, these might have all been in the same batch. But yeah, I would definitely check the invoices for sure. Sounds like they should replace those.
I know we have the plug-in bags from Meals on Wheels store, and sometimes we've had issues with the plug-in that goes into the cigarette lighter into the vehicle, and there is actually on those bags there is a fuse that sometimes goes out, which you can get just at like the local hardware or auto store, and it's as simple as changing a fuse and then it works. I don't know about those specific Cambro whatever plug-in, but I don't know. You could check on that. That's something that we've found, and the fuse itself is very cheap, so that has worked.
Thanks, Val.
Yep. And then as far as warranty, I know our bags, you know, have a year warranty, and then they always seem to fail, you know, a year and a half in, of course.
That's with everything usually.
Yeah, true. There's a reason for it.
Okay, well, thank you. Those were all really great tips. You can keep them coming if you want. We appreciate the conversation has been wonderful to help each other out. Kim is okay. So, just gonna ask Heidi, I know that you have had an adventure trying to get your temperatures better over the last year. Can you talk a little bit also about some things that you did that you have found that have helped, like kind of like Christy did?
As far as with staff compliance?
Well, that would be one thing. I know you've had a problem with that, with the cold temperatures, but just even the year before then, you said you worked really hard to get those temperatures up.
Okay, yes. So the first year that we worked with our new cater, it was just really a struggle to get our temperatures where they needed to be. We had previously used the aluminum 3-compartment trays, and we really were committed and wanted to go to the Oliver system because they are more eco-friendly than the aluminum that will sit for many, many years. So we tried a lot of different things working directly with our cater, and a lot of it is her adding multiple lights. You know, when she's packaging the meals, it's really warm in her kitchen, not only from the grill and the ovens, but also where she packages them. She has lights over them. I'm sure they're actual catering lights, but they look like what you have over the chicks in the feed store when they have the baby chicks. So it looks like that, and that has helped a lot. Like I said, we went through and tried the different heat stone methods. We tried the bags that we ordered from Oliver that plug in, and the 2 drivers that use them were both on the Wittenberg end, and the one is a gentleman, and he is very equipment minded and electronic minded. So I know he wasn't jerking on the cords, because that would be what I would do, is just grab the cord and pull it out. And they still, yeah, I know, I'm just like Pam, I really don't respect electronic stuff. And he, they really had trouble with those. So the bags themselves are beautiful and we're using them for cold now. But the cords, we've had them replaced. We've sent them back in. We said, you know, we only had these 6 months. You need to reimburse us for them or send us new ones. They sent us new ones, and they still just don't. They don't seem to last. And the temps are really good, but the cords just don't last. So we use the heat stones, and we've really been overall happy with them. But it was a lot of work with the cater to really refine how to keep the food hot. And she packages a lot of meals for us. She does generally somewhere around 200 every day.
It sounds like she was pretty cooperative with you, huh? As far as trying to figure out the problems.
She is. She's committed to this program and really enjoys it. And um, she operates, her restaurant is actually more of a tavern. And she closed through most of COVID to avoid her getting ill. And so we never skipped a beat throughout all of COVID of having people ill and not being able to serve meals. So I consider us pretty fortunate to have her.
Thank you.
And
Can
for
you
those
tell
that,
us a little bit about, okay, if you were comfortable with talking about your cold temperature problem?
oh, with not temping everything, that was a staff issue. The cold temperature, we needed to add another layer of the cool packs that we use, and that solved that. The other issue that we had was one with staff. Our meal site manager, you get into habits, and she's been doing this for a long, long time. And just to break her of the habit. And unfortunately, I ended up giving her a verbal warning. After I retrained everybody and said, if it happens again, it'll have to be a written warning to make sure that every single item was temped. And so that has seemed to have solved the issue. It's just we get into habits over the years and we get bad habits.
Right. And it's not like she wasn't committed to the program. But I will tell you, Heidi, I just appreciate you talking about that, because your county was not the only county that wasn't taking cold temperatures. And like you said, it just must have been what they had been doing for a long time, but we really need to see those cold temperatures too. So thank you for doing that and getting that corrective action, and you've seen improvement. So that's perfect.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add on that, or on what other improvements you made?
No, but just to kind of qualify how important it was that I feel that our caterer closed through COVID is, for a lot of counties, they took the problem with COVID very seriously. And in Shawano County, the majority of the individuals who reside here take their constitutional rights a little bit more seriously. And so we've not ever been closed with anything, and people don't wear masks. And for her to choose to close in such a small community, I think was pretty significant.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. It's been all over for everybody. So it's nice, like you said, that you did end up with somebody who respected that we serve seniors that were more susceptible to this. So does anybody want to share a struggle that they've been having? Maybe go over their routine so we can talk about it a little bit.
This is Val from Washera. I guess one thing that we kind of realized, and we maybe don't have it quite figured out yet, but we're getting there, is when we used to take temperatures where it said temperature at the beginning of the route, we were taking that temperature, well, some of the time anyway, not consistently, I guess, but we were taking where it says temperature at the beginning of the route, we were taking at like as we were packaging the food. So those temperatures appeared to be quite high or, favorable. But then once we went to take the temperature on the route, it dropped so significantly. And it was like, it was obvious where it was somewhat obvious where the temperature was going wrong, I guess, or whatever. But it wasn't really giving us a true picture of what does it actually start on the route as. I don't know if that's making sense, but like taking the temperature in the kitchen when it's in one big pan of, you know, your mixed vegetables or whatever. If it's one big pan of food, you know, your temp might be really high, but then once you get to taking the temperature of one individual meal, I guess first of all it's tricky because you're hardly poking that thermometer into much food at all. So I guess that's a struggle that we're kind of still working out, I guess. But basically, how do you keep the temperature hot from that big pan of food to each individual meal where you're actually taking that beginning of route temperature? I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Janice said yes, good point. So thank you, Val.
Yeah, Val, that's a really good point, that you need to take it at the beginning of the route, because then you know truly why at the end maybe you're not getting good temps. So thank you for sharing. And then you can work on that part. You don't have to worry about, you know, your food's hot enough, you know that. But what things are you having problems with? You know, Christy found out that by putting it in the freezer, that's a great idea to make things just a little bit colder before you start off. So talking about temperatures, Pam, do you think we could show that video?
I'm going to give it a whirl. So,
okay.
my
so
best.
hang on, be patient with us, you guys.
Okay. Brief hold. I find that.
Okay, right. So it is hard to take temperatures. Like I've always noticed fish, right? Fish doesn't hold its temp because it's so thin. It just doesn't hold a temp. Casseroles seem to do really well. Anything with a gravy on does a little bit better. Some vegetables, but Pam had asked me to make a video on taking temps of lettuce. So we'll see if it shows up. It looks like it might work.
Wait, I didn't turn the volume on. 1 second. Let me try it one more time. Camera roll. You know, we did practice this like 5 times, but for some reason, it's not giving me the option to slide the sound over. You know, Lori?
Maybe Lori, does Lori need to do it?
I don't know. She's
the presenter.
Let me try one more time. Let me do full screen view. Oh, here, 1 second. I think I've got life figured out. And then this. And now I'm going to hit play. And it's going to work.
Hi, Chef Lori here, and today we're going to talk about taking the temperature on lettuce.
Can you hear it?
Lettuce is a little bit harder to take a temperature of, and we're going to talk about that today. So the first thing we're going to get is the tools that we need, and that's our thermometer, okay? So I did calibrate my thermometer yesterday in the ice bath. It came out to 32 degrees, so I know it's calibrated. I know it's going to give me an accurate temperature. It's also on, so I'm ready to go. The other thing I'm going to do is sanitize it real quick, and then I'm going to let that air dry before I take it the temperature of the lettuce. Actually, we're using spinach today, so sometimes I'm sure you have that on your routes. So one gloved hand for the lettuce, one other hand that I can handle everything else with. Okay, so we actually have spinach here today. And so what we're going to do is kind of make like a little bundle with it. Okay, and I know that's what the gloved hand is for. So we're going to stick that right in there. And it's coming down right away. And you don't want it so it's sticking out into the air. You got to have it in the lettuce itself. Now, it's going down, 43. And then check on the bottom there. You don't want it sticking out into the air. You want it in the lettuce itself. 41, which would be acceptable. 40. And when I did this earlier, I practiced before I made the video. It did go down to 39, okay? But 41 and 40 certainly are acceptable for lettuce, right? So all you need to do is, like, you see that I made like a little ball. And when I looked at it at the bottom, you don't want to have your thermometer sticking out, because then you're getting the air temperature, right? You want to be in all the lettuce, okay? And that, boy, that when I put that in the air, it went out quick. So there you go. That's how you take a temperature of lettuce, okay? So you make kind of like a little bundle and hit the lettuce, not the air. There you go. Have the best day ever. Bye.
Way to go, Lori. Kim Losey would like to know if this could be shared and used for training with our site managers. Yes, it can. And we will put this on the website. Probably take a couple days. Otherwise, we can send you the link too if you want it right away.
And again, you got to remember, if you're really having a problem with something, maybe that item doesn't belong on the menu. I had taken off item menu because they were not working out as far as they were like leak. But if you're really having problems, everything else is good, but this one product, this one fish product or whatever, maybe you need to switch that around. Maybe you need to put something else on the menu if you're not getting that one. So, yeah.
A couple things in chat. Does Guar have a Facebook page that they can share on it as well? We do not have a Facebook page, but we can put it on the website under nutrition, actually under technical assistance, and then nutrition, and it'll probably go under program management, also in food safety. So again, we do have that link available right now if you need it. Kayla, very good point. Great video. Thank you, Kayla. Lori did a good job. Be sure people have a clean pair of gloves on, or a clean gloved hand at least. That's from Pam. Oh. That's my screen there. Yes, the link would be great. We will find the link here.
I'll put it in the notes too.
Thank you. Thanks, Lori. That was good. You're on mute.
Okay, so what else do we have to share? Jane, do you have anything else?
No. I don't think so. I mean, I actually learned a lot from that little video, so I greatly appreciate you doing those, because, it's interesting. We try to explain it to people, but just seeing you do it makes it really easy, and I think it'll be great. I think it was maybe Kim Losey suggested we share it with the site manager, so absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Can somebody try opening it?
I can.
Not Eugene, someone outside of us, because I'm curious if someone outside of us can.
Oh, it's open, I think. Okay.
So we'll resave it in a way that y'all can open it.
Yeah, or just look for it out on the website too. We'll get it out there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Jane. Yeah, and thank you, Lori. It was great.
Okay, so Pam, did you have something else you were going to share?
Oh yeah, thank you. I forgot. So there's a nice, sugar plum. There's a nice link, and I'm putting it in the chat right now. From Dane County, they have fact sheets, and they also have newsletters, and they have a couple videos on there on things like, how to temp things, but also in their different newsletters, they have, they're short, and some of them have quizzes in them that you could use for staff training. So maybe take a look at those. They have proper cooking and story, cleanup and sanitation for employees or employers. So I'll add it to the chat right now and check it out if you guys get a chance. And I have a question. When we are cleaning and sanitizing our thermometers between one food to the next food, we always recommend alcohol wipes as a gold standard. I know you can use other things, but my concern with that is, you know, like proper mixing of sanitation solutions and such like that. So I guess I'm curious because I know some people were switching over to just alcohol wipes. I mean, away from alcohol wipes because of the cost. But I was curious what other people do. And I know, Lori, there are other ways we can do it. My biggest concern is like, how are you mixing the sanitizing solution? How many parts per minute? Is it only for your thermometers in between each food? I guess I'd love to have a little bit of conversation what people are doing there.
I will say that I have seen it for sale, like stations where they do that, like through different companies, but I have never, I don't think we've ever used that. We've always used the wipes. And I was just talking with Jean that one of the nursing homes I've worked in where we had to wipe with the alcohol pad, and then my cook stuck it in to the food. The surveyor actually wrote us up for that because she said that was chemical contamination, because after you wipe with the alcohol pad, you have to let it dry for like whatever, 10 seconds before you stick it in the food. And my cook did not. She just put it directly in there after it was sanitized. And of course, she still let us serve the food, but she said we were contaminating our food. So we were written up for that. So we had to make sure. Yeah. So if anybody else uses anything besides the wipes, I guess let us know.
Kelly says that I'm about to purchase a ready-to-use sanitizer with Array, A-R-R-A-Y, that will be sprayed on a disposable wash towel. Interesting.
So Kelly, I haven't heard of that. So that is safe for doing thermometers?
Yeah, as far as I know, so the reason I went in that direction with the ready to use is because with our grab and go, not all grab and go operations have access to their normal kitchen area, as they did with the congregate site. So, proper, mixing of a sanitizer, it would be troubling for them. So that's kind of why I looked into this type of ready to use sanitizer. And everything that it's saying is safe. I can send you the description for it.
Yeah, it would be great to see that, Kelly. We just really need to do, us GWAR, a nutrition team working with Sarah, need to, I feel like, do a little bit more education on this, because I feel like this might be an area that's kind of falling down. And like you said, Lori, if we don't let it air dry just for 10 to 15 seconds before it goes in the next food, it can be a chemical contaminant. So I just feel like a little bit more education on this is needed.
Thanks, Pam. And then Sherry also wanted to know, she was curious if the sanitizer is safe for food and not considered a food additive. So I think we're going to have to look into it a little bit more.
It's real tricky. I was doing some work on it this morning. I didn't find anything real clear answers anywhere, but Jean and Lori are ServSafe proctors. So we have them on it. It will become clear to us shortly.
Right. And I will say that too, if you really feel like you're having problems, I talked about this on our recipe and menu about Ecolab, having a dispenser that ready mixes to the right concentration. I mean, you still test it every day, but it really takes that guesswork out of your hands, because I know being in food service forever, right? So sometimes people think if they pour an extra sanitizer, they're doing a good thing, and actually they're making it contamination. They're making it chemical contamination because now it's too strong. And if they make it too weak, then it's not sanitizing. And you also have to worry sometimes about your temperatures of your sanitizer. Sometimes you need to have it at room temp. Sometimes it needs to be warm. If it's too cold, it won't activate. If it's too hot, it kills it. So what you really need to do is look at your sanitizer that you have and look at those directions and see what it says. And that's where, again, Ecolab's expensive, but they would come in and test for us and talk to our people, and they would you know, like look at the concentration constantly so that it was correct. And it really was nice. It was one less thing I had to do as a supervisor, that it would be mixed correctly all the time. It was so nice. And so when inspectors came in, at least I knew I didn't have to worry about that because it was automatic. So they had dispensers. And like I said, you can buy those like through Granger, through different companies. And again, just like what Callie said, sometimes you have to look for something new because you're doing it somewhere else. So Callie, once we see what that is, I think that's a good idea as long as it's, you know, it sounds like you checked it out. So we'll look at it though when you send us the link. So. But just remember that it's hard. Some people too. I mean, we went away from bleach most of the places, and some people still, bleach is inexpensive, but it also breaks down quicker, right? So the more you use it, the faster it's going to break down, where more of a quat sanitizer is going to last a little bit longer.
Yeah, when I worked in the nursing homes too, we also did the same thing with Ecolab. I know that Cisco had their own system that they used too, but Ecolab was the one that was in there more testing it and everything. And we actually did a cup of sanitizer every night and let our thermometers sit in that to make sure that they were sanitized for a while.
Thank you.
I wonder if Reinhardt has anything like that. I wonder if they have a system. Anybody with Reinhardt ever hear that?
We could ask Justin too. I could shoot him a quick email.
Yeah. So if they have like dispensers that mix to the proper concentration for sanitizer.
I know Martin Brothers did too. I don't know if anybody works with Martin Brothers, but they had it.
Okay. So it sounds like maybe more than one does. Sherry, what is it that you like about those products from Northwoods?
I think my experience has been in the restaurant setting, they're just very complimentary. So it's, you know, they're intended to be used together for different applications throughout, you know, all the different processes. So whether it's hand washing or dish sanitizing or, you know, food surfaces, their products all work really well together.
If we could put in a poll, we could ask who uses what kind of, if they use bleach or some other kind of sanitizer.
Yeah, if we could, because the three dots aren't there right now. Yeah, if we could.
Oh, okay. I don't have them either. Okay, never mind. Unless if you want to just put it in the chat for us, just let us know. Does anybody still use bleach for some of their kitchens or some of their food service place?
Tidy table.
Tidy table, that's fun.
Tidy table, still use bleach. We do. I'm assuming that's bleach.
Okay.
Yes, bleach. Looks like a lot of people are still using bleach.
Okay.
Janine, yes. Christy, we use both, but in different situations. Erica, we do. Heather, Oneida County, we stopped using bleach over a year ago. Interesting.
Okay. That is good to know.
I have a question. How many parts per million do they mix that to? Because I was reading something this morning that was 50 parts per million and other things said 100 parts per million. I'm trying to figure out the parts per million for thermometer sanitizing between food uses.
I would have to go back and look, honestly, to
Right,
make
I
sure
have to, I don't know off the
Yeah.
top of my head. But I will tell you that bleaches are different, right? So that is why you have to use your test strip. One of the places I worked at, she would go out and buy the cheapest bleach that she could for us to use in her kitchen, but we would have to use twice as much to get the right reading. So that's why it's so important that you do with your staff those test sheets, because if you have the little, that's how you tell. And you have to look at your product too, because not every sanitizer is the same either. Some are going to want, usually it's like 200 to 400, but some might be less, some might be more. You really have to follow directions on your bottle. And if it's bleach, you have to have the bleach strip so that you can tell what it needs to be. And I will just say one other thing about bleach is I ruined so many clothes trying to work with that bleach. I'd have it splash up on me, and that's it. That's all she wrote for my new shirt. So
Kim Losi says she has to leave, but can we ever take a poll on another topic? Of course. It's great. Throw out if you're interested in something that you want to talk about and devote, this time to. We are happy. That's where we love to get the ideas from, is all of you. So throw out some stuff in the chat if you're just thinking, hey, I'd love to know more about this. Maybe it's the restaurant model. Maybe it's something completely different. Maybe it's we have the peer sharing calls at the end of the month as well set up. But if there's something that you really want to have us focus on, we are really happy to do that. And if you don't want to put it in chat, send it to either Pam, myself, or Lori, and we'll definitely get that on the calendar. Definitely interested in hearing about reopening plans and restaurant model options. I think the restaurant model has been a big one. I've gotten, I know Pam and Lori maybe have too, as well as some questions. So that might, be one of the ones we talk about doing a call on.
Styrofoam containers, Taylor just put, that's a good one, because I have another county that their end of route temps are not good. And they're using styrofoam because their public health didn't want them to use their reusable trays. And so I would love to hear more about that.
Yeah, Kayla, thank you. Kayla from Dodge, how to engage in the community and increase volunteers. I think that would be a good one too, actually. I just was on a MOA webinar on that with a couple people from across the country on how to recruit and retain the volunteers because of COVID. So thank you for that thought too. Good idea. All great ideas. So we'll get together as a group next week and kind of talk about these great ideas for these calls. So throw them out there or email us individually. Happy to put on the calls.
okay, well, it's 3:59, so we are going to get ready to close out the call. We thank you all again. You will be hearing from us about temperatures again, because it is something that we want to continue to bring. Food safety's got to be the forefront, always, right? But a lot of different options, a lot going on around the state. So like Jean said, we have our peer sharing calls set up again by region at the end of the month. Pam, what else do you have coming up?
Dietitian peer sharing call on April 19th. Dietitian orientation on April 26th.
Okay, all right. So again, appreciate all the thank yous, and we thank you, because it wouldn't be such a great call if you guys didn't share with each other. And I know it helps. Like somebody else is trying something different and you share that helps just so much. So thank to all of you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And look for the notes in the recording coming soon, okay? Thanks, everybody.
Have the best